Messi. Messi. Oh my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. Oh, that is extraordinary. What a head, son. What a head.
Back of the net.
Back of the net and back on the pod. It is not a pundit. Back for the year that is 2025. I am delighted to be joined for our first episode of the new year by Conor Glennon and Nathan Byrne, as always, and I'm Killian Ginnity. Gentlemen, how was Christmas? How is your new year? How was the break away from the podcast?
I won't lie, boys. I was missing you. You know, I think Newcastle have been on a steady stream of wins since we put down the mics, or albeit for a proper episode and not a Christmas special episode. So I don't know if I'm going to have to depart the pod for the sake of Newcastle's success. But no, good Christmas and delighted to be back. Nate, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. Nice cozy Christmas. But yeah, no, I'm delighted to be back and huge 2025 ahead, I think. So yeah, let's get rolling.
We have lots to catch up on and chat about, and lots of plans for the new year. So if you haven't already, follow us on socials at Not a Pundit Pod or at Not a Pundit Podcast, depending on the platform. You'll find us. Connor, as you mentioned, since we took our kind of Christmas break, Newcastle have been on the up. Has the team finally clicked? Has Howe finally discovered a tactic that works, or has Isak just kind of thrown his toys out the pram and decided, you know what, I'm just going to drag this team forward?
I think it's a mix of all, to be honest. And I know it sounds like I'm sitting on the fence, but I think Isak is having some Michael Jordan last dance kind of Salah season. I think he's. I don't think he's trying to put himself in a shop window, but he definitely has through what he's doing. But I think what is coming to the fore in terms of outside of Isak, look, I still think after what I'm about to say, if Isak went down injured tomorrow, we have big problems, huge problems. But even with that being said, I think no matter how long Howe remains at Newcastle, his legacy will have been taking players who were quite average and making them into above average and kind of above their level of playing. So I'm looking at guys like, Sean Longstaff, Jacob Murphy is unbelievable at the moment. He's a player that went out on loan 2 seasons in a row not too long ago, and I think we couldn't find anyone to buy him, to be honest. I look at guys like Joe Linton, so I think he's cultivated a squad that's functioning well together, but still hinges on key players. Actually, Fabian Schär is another one I should add into that list of who Howe's kind of managed to bring along. So I think, look, January I don't see us being too active. Jesus, if it's anything like the summer window, I hope we don't buy anyone. But I think come next summer, we definitely need to figure out up front and obviously try to keep hold of Isak. PSR will be an issue there, but I don't see the likes of a Callum Wilson staying on, and we'll need a replacement for him.
Do you think Howe is still under a bit of pressure, despite kind of results going his way now, that it's just kind of, no matter how things really going to go, there's always going to be that kind of thing over his head of, you're not the guy to take us forward?
I still do maintain that I think for us to get to the next step and get back to a Champions League spot, he may not be the guy. I don't like saying that because I really like him as a manager. I liked him before he came to the Toon, and what he's done for the Toon is nothing short of amazing in the time period he's been there. But yeah, I think there's certain players and certain managers that they hit their level, and that is as far as they can go. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope to be absolutely proved wrong on this one, but I really think he's starting to hit that ceiling. And look, I will say though, if this is our ceiling, I would have killed for it 2 years ago. So I think we do need to remember that. But I think if you're going to keep a hold of Howe, you kind of need to go, if we're in the same position where we are now in another 2 seasons, we need to move on. So it's kind of like you're almost starting to search somewhat anyway.
Yeah, it's. I think what could really put the nail in the proverbial coffin for Howe is depending on who becomes available manager wise. Like I think if they have an inkling that they might get Mourinho, they might just, no matter how good he's doing, he might get the ball. It might be that kind of
I
Pellegrino at
I
City.
think if we get those those kind of caliber managers, the only way they'll definitely come is if our ownership will release the purse strings, and in order to do that, it'll be PSR equation. So I think what I think is most likely going forward is we will keep hold of Howe to get us to a place where we sort out our PSR over the next season and a half, with the view of bringing in someone who can bring us to that next level once we've created that buffer where they can actually spend to recruit a manager like that and then buy them players to keep them there.
And Nate, United have kind of, I don't want to say Amarin has worn out the welcome, but definitely the shine has gone off him since we left for Christmas.
Yeah, so you can certainly say that. Yeah, it's been a long one, lads. It's been a tough grind watching some of these games. I'll tell you that for free. Yeah, like it has, but I don't think like any of that really comes down to him personally. Like he's mentioned, I think the max he's got with players is like 2 training sessions in a week if he's lucky, which is mental to think about.
In total, like, is it that's the most
Yeah,
consistent he's had?
yeah, like the busy
Wow.
Christmas period, like the max he's had is 2 training sessions in a row. So, it just shows like there's only so much you can do with a set of players going into a complex system like him, like his, and to see results. That being said, though, I think some of the performances have been outright disgraceful in some parts. Players just like visibly giving up on the pitch. But that's not new, is it? Like we've gone through about 5 or 6 managers, the same thing happening. Yeah, I think the big thing now is just try and get them adapted to the system. But we've seen against City and Liverpool, these players can't lift their level. Like against Liverpool, I thought we should have won that game. I thought that Maguire chance at the end summed up that game where we should have scored it.
I felt bad
Um,
for him, man. I really did, because of all the people that drop it to, like, he's the
yeah,
last in your list, and like he'd even say it himself. He's like, "Why was I the one it dropped to?" You know.
yeah. Like I thought it was a really good performance. I thought we made Liverpool look average. Trent. We made Trent look like a disaster, which is ironic. I think with all the noise around him, but yeah, I don't know about you lads, but it's just flat right now. And I think
I think that you take positives out of that game, though, man. Like, I really do. I know you didn't get 3 points in the end, and people will argue that Liverpool lost 2 points, but to me, that's the best football you guys have played under Amarim. It shows this system can work, and I know it's your team setup relies on runners if you're going to play the game he plays, and therefore you need your players to give it all, which is, you're having trouble with your players doing that. But I do think if you can carry into your next couple of games that form, it's off to the races from there, because it's not a make or break moment by any means. Jesus, there's a lot more left in the Amarim tenure than this. But I mean, for me, I think it's one of those, you cannot go into your next couple of games without at least giving the effort from the Liverpool game. Now, the results come what may, but it, to me, the future of United with Amarim in the short term needs that at least effort.
Well, I think that's kind of the beauty of kind of use having this wobble early on, and it's particularly now because like we're seeing it, like me and Nate have gushed over Amad Diallo plenty, but he's one of these guys that's actually getting the benefit of the team having a wobble because he's getting more chances, and he does try, and he is putting in the work, and he's getting the plaudits and the results from it, like scoring against Liverpool to equalise the game. What a moment for him, and like for the fans to be able to get behind them in that kind of a situation. Haven't seen him at Sunderland, that is going to do wonders for him. He's one of them kind of players that put an arm around him, have the fan base behind him, and he will just continue to get better and continue to give. And like I think it's going to make Amarim's job in the summer much easier when he needs to get rid of some of these players. Now, there's also players getting rid of themselves, like Rashford. Nate, what's your thoughts? Because You know my opinion on him already.
Yeah, like he's got to go, doesn't he? Like
And
just being
do you
frank,
think that because of what he said or how he's playing?
I think he is how do I put this politely? A train wreck. The way he just like you know it'll come out where he gets dropped. Yeah, we don't physically know the reason why he got dropped or the reasoning behind that. But then he'll a day later he'll do an interview, a big interview, and go, you know what? I think I want to leave the club. I think the time's right without thinking, he just has to get the first word out, of course, doesn't he? And then, when it comes out that like the clubs aren't really sniffing around for you, pal, because your performances haven't been too great for the last 2 years. It's all this like, yeah, but like if the terms are right, I'll stay and this and that, and it's just
That's
yeah.
even worse. That just makes you sound like a mercenary. He's the most mismanaged player. Like I don't know who
Oh,
I don't know who his representatives are, but I
his
mean,
brother,
oh Christ,
yeah.
that always goes horrible. Like that's a pod in itself of how many like players who have their families agents and it doesn't go to plan. But like look at the NFL or the NBA. Like the standard practice for a management team, if they're gonna do a situation like Rashford, is they shop the player first, they see the interest, then do the big interview, and then shortly later either sign a contract extension or go to a new team. And how they're in a situation now that like I'd love to know, does management tell him to do that, or did he just go and do it?
Like I've no idea on that part, but the part I'll say about Rashford is he's like the polar opposite of the person who joined the club, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The kid that came through under Van Gaal, like he was, as the chant goes, Mank born and bred. Like he was our guy. He's delivering the goals. We were all behind him, and this version of Rashford is just like so far away from what that was. That like I really do like I feel bad for the guy, and to be honest, I'm sick of feeling bad for Manchester United players at this rate, but I really do.
What do you think changed him though? Because like even during COVID, when he was having his troubles playing wise, he was at least like, look, he hasn't seemed happy for a long time. But I mean, even what he was doing in the community was amazing with the food banks, and he had a purpose or a cause. Be it maybe it wasn't football exactly, but he seemed to be in a better headspace. I maybe unfair because I don't know the guy, but I mean it's just like something soured with him in the club.
Yeah, like listen, I'm mature enough to look at both sides and go like he's been through 7 managers in about 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
fair.
like that's gonna have its impacts on players regardless, like their development, this and that. Like he's never really had a proper run under a manager. Um, with that being said, though, he has to take responsibility for some of the stuff that goes on in his own personal life and like the issues he runs into. So I don't think both sides are blameless, and I think both have to take accountability one way or another. But yeah, like I just think it's a sad ending now to what like you know will he go down as a legend? Probably
Not,
not.
yeah.
Like like when you look at the stats, like he really should, but um, he's been a great servant to the
Recency
club.
bias will kill him. I think. I don't know about you,
Yeah,
Killian, but like for me, I look. He's played great ball there in periods, but I think take away that he's from Manchester. If you just look at him like he's any other player, I don't see it.
Legacy wise, I think at the club he's going to end up like Mike Lowen was for Liverpool. That kind of like
That's a shout. Yeah.
yeah, when he broke through, incredible. And that's all. You don't mention the rest of his tenure. You don't mention the fact that he went to United in Owen's case, and I think it's a really good kind of teaching moment for young players to kind of look, kind of go and listen. You should. I think players should be more loyal than they are generally. But loyalty should only go so far. Like when you get to a stage where you're outliving multiple managers and knowing that you're going to outlive one and acting like you know that you're going to outlive this one, like, oh yeah, I'd be grand. I can phone it in for 6 months. I'll be here when Ollie's gone, or Ten Hag is gone, or when Van Hal is gone, or any of the other managers. Like you can keep going. It's never a good mindset to be in, and I saw that at Sunderland. It'll be a sad end. He won't ever get the plaudits and affection that the United fans deservedly gave him at the beginning. He won't ever get that again.
Can I just say one thing?
No.
Sorry, it's my part. Yeah, I will say. Can I just one thing I want to say is, can we? I'm at the point now where I'm sick of the money in football. I think there's a real, as a United fan over the last like 6 years, just looking at it, is like you can see the impact it has on these young players, and it's not. Trust me, it's not a good. It's not a good thing. I'd well and truly be before like caps on wages for age groups, because I genuinely think that these kids are getting money too quick. And to be honest, I don't think it's even the money that's affecting them. I think it's the people around them that the money then becomes a bigger thing than it actually is. Do you know what I mean?
I was only thinking this the other day because I agree with you. I think post 18 you can't control it, but under 18 I think you can. But where I would be interested to get your opinion, lads, is I don't think you can decrease the money because of the income that the clubs are getting based off these players. But what I think you can do is almost like a trust fund, kid, where you get say 20% of the money each. Like when you say you're getting, I don't know, 100 grand a year, you get 20% of it, and then once you turn 18 you get the rest of that money. And I think you can then at least give them fair market value, but not inflate their egos with massive contracts.
In acting, that's called the Coogan account, where
Oh,
15% of all earnings for under 18s is meant to be put into account legally. That
50, they keep 15.
15% of all money that the child earns has to be put into a separate account that the parents can't touch.
See, I'd flip that around, and like, as in they can touch 15, anyone,
Well,
parents or a kid, and then keep the 80 until they're, I don't know, 17.
Well, the logic of it is that because it takes so much to be a child, it takes so much work to be a child actor for the parents, that it actually pays the parents and the child, because they're the ones looking after the child.
Yeah.
Because the original Uncle Fester of the Addams family, he was one of the first child actors. It happened to him that his mother left him broke by the time he turned 18, and Cole and Dylan Sprouse, most of their money was gone by the time they turned 16 because their mother spent it all. So there is good examples of it, but I think with football, the cat is out of the bag. I don't think
that's what I'm saying, because so you need to find a structure to keep the money the same, because you're not going to go backwards. You just need to figure out a way to control it now.
Is it too late for salary caps? Like, is it?
I think so. Unfortunately, like, I'd be the biggest proponent of having it, but I just don't like. I think all that's going to happen there is you'll get Players Association going, oh, so the clubs get richer and we stay the same, and that's not fair. And then you've got a whole goes to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and inevitably we'll just be back where we are, if not a higher.
It's a very short career as well.
Yeah, I just think it's really sad though that like you see the impact it's having on young players. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
to the point where like you can even look at yourself and go, like, imagine you getting 350 grand into your bank account every week. Like, where's the hunger? Like, where, like literally, not like, I don't mean literally, but where is like the hunger to perform on the pitch? Because it's such a big thing.
I think though there is, in the same way as there is anything, like there is examples of good and bad of that. Like, look at Odegaard. Odegaard, I think we'd all say, is a very level-headed footballer, doing things the right way, proper family behind him. He was signed by Madrid at 16, and was on 70k.
Yeah, but there's a difference between 70k and like literally teenagers getting given 250 to 350.
No, 70k was his weekly wage.
Yeah.
I'd imagine what the signing on bonus was, and his advertising.
But even what Nate's saying is like that, like 70 bags a week is unholy. But there's kids looking at that going pathetic. I earn 170.
Jadon Sancho was on 350 grand at 22.
Like
Like
it's yeah.
350,000 a
20, that's at
week,
22, so it's
but
outside of
a
the
week,
box that you
like
can fix.
yeah, no, yeah.
Do you do it as I don't know? Is there a way to control it from, say, again, an NFL reference where you're on a rookie contract for your first contract, so 4 years you get a league minimum of I think 300K a year.
Yeah,
To be honest, I think the only way you're going to get that is any sort of control like that is to break it down and start it again, like the MLS did. Because that's what happened to MLS. They ended up spending so much money on trying to get marquee players that all the clubs went bust constantly. So they started again, and nobody was happy about it. And they have minimum wages and they have maximum wages apart from certain designated
Designated
players.
players,
And
yeah.
even the league can actually help in on that. I will touch on that again later. But like, when your league is decided upon by the clubs, and the clubs make more money off of having the best players and making them into more viable advertising assets, you're never going to get the clubs to vote for it. You're not going to get the players to vote for it.
It's going to end up in Super League, isn't it, or a live golf type tournament?
Ex-
Like
well, I just
you-
think that
that's
makes it worse. Like a Super League would the Super League would drive the wages up, in my opinion.
oh, but that's
Oh
what I'm
yeah.
saying. But that's what I'm saying.
What
Like
I
it's
think would
in
happen is if the Premier League try to bring this in, well, then they'll go right
yeah.
Super League. All the big players will
Yeah.
follow.
Because if you're earning 200 bags a week and now they're saying, oh, there's a maximum of 90, you're like, hello, any tournament that's going to give me near what I was on, if anything, give me more. You'd have any.
It happened in the 1950s. Did you know that?
No.
The FIFA had a wage cap. It's one of the reasons why Sunderland was so unsuccessful after the 1950s. They were called the Bank of England because they were actually illegally paying players under the table to get the best ones. But the Colombian league broke away for 2 years against FIFA because FIFA are the ones that imposed these salary caps. So they ended up having the likes of Di Stefano and Puskas play out there, earning whatever the clubs could afford to give them, which was
Was this like back in the day of Pablo Escobar fronting teams and that kind of thing?
Before that, yeah, it's 1950s, and
Oh,
basically,
50, sorry, yeah.
yeah. So this was back when like FIFA ruled with an iron fist, and they were still trying to basically do the amateur sport. You should only be a working man no matter what. And the clubs went, well, listen, we can sell a load of tickets off your back, and we'll pay you lots of money because we'll sell more tickets if you're here. And it collapsed within 2 years because FIFA undid the rule. But this has happened before, and what happened was a breakaway and Super League.
I think if you were to go forward, the only way you could potentially do it for underage players is you couldn't do it across all leagues, but like say if all Premier League teams agreed to, I suppose, an amount per age, like say a 15-year-old can't get paid more than X, a 16-year-old can't get paid more than X, but it would have to be all the teams agreeing to it. I think the Premier League couldn't suggest it. A team would have to then. But then who suggests it? Because if you're Bournemouth, United are like, yeah, good luck, like.
But there's nothing to stop a different country not adopting it, and then they all go to there.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think your best shout would be a FIFA imposed Coogan account.
Yeah, I mean it's something,
So if it was that kind of like, listen, you're gonna get X amount, but no matter what, you're gonna have this set aside for you. You can keep it at 18, and what maybe they could do is kind of saying rather than taking it at 18, if you keep it in until you retire as a player, and it becomes a pension. Like you do it as a pension kind of
That's
thing.
or do it like the tax-free thing that for Irish rugby players get, where you get your top 5. I think it's the top 5 years of your career tax-free if you finish a career in Ireland. But like a similar one of if you keep the money in the Coogan account, it's
but it would have to be at the FIFA level.
Yeah,
it would
to be
have
honest,
to be world football.
if that was being proposed, I'd probably go against it purely because, and I know it sounds contradictory, is I'd much rather a 16-year-old at United getting paid 25 grand a week going like the jump will be less severe then. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, say he was making, I don't know, whatever, like 5 or whatever,
yeah.
and then jumping up to 80, it's like,
Then you go insane. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's like I don't think there's a win out
But
of it.
it's not limited to sports though. Like even if you look at like music, especially, like you look at
Influencers.
characters like Justin Bieber who went absolutely buck wild. You know what I mean? And that's down to an influx of hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
I think
I,
influencers is the worst because it's completely unregulated and it's one person, like basically the child looking after it 9 times out of 10, and then a parent comes in at the end and just fucking takes a load of control of it, and like that's the worst. And I think football can sort of kind of be like that.
I sound like I'm promoting American sports today. It's just it's I think that in some ways they do get it right in the way that to be an agent over there, you have to have a law degree, which I do think stands for something because at least you're like, look, a degree doesn't mean you're intelligent, but you know what I mean. It takes away the idea of mediators in football who have, they could do anything with, they have no, I suppose, background in the game. It could be someone's mate. I think it allows a certain security for the players knowing that they have, I suppose, trusted advisors who've been there. What do you think, Nate?
yeah, like just to sum it all up, I think personally, I think there's a culture issue at United, and I think it comes down to money that's on the table, and you know, players think that when they go there and get the big bucks and all the eyes are on them, that you know they seem to take their eye off the pitch, in my opinion. And I think the only way to do that is to make harsh decisions, and hopefully that's what happens.
Well, speaking of money and the Man United game, one man who is very much idling for a move, Connor, is Trent, who did not perform very well in that United game. And did you see that some of the pundits are speculating that there could have been some agent talk trying to make a move happen and could potentially increase salaries whether or not he does move?
Yeah, I saw rumors down the mill that, speaking of unholy wages, that Liverpool have offered him, 300 chunks a week. I don't know if I believe that. I don't think FSG would be put in a position to be kind of, I suppose, have no other choice than to give him that cash. I think they're more concerned about keeping hold of more than one player. I think he just had a poor game, to be honest with you. Do I think he gave 100%? No. But at the end of the day, he's a Liverpool lad playing against Man United. Like, I mean, he's not going to not try. So I'd like to believe that he just had an off day. I don't know about you guys.
If that was an off day, Jesus,
I
like
know he played shite.
he
Don't
was
get don't.
so
It was,
bad.
yeah, it was shite. But
I was there watching it, and I genuinely was gone to my brother, going, "Where is Trent?" Like I think I said it about 20 times during the game. It's like this fella was nowhere to be seen. Like even that Van Dijk was losing his
But
head.
there's nothing in it for him to do that because it doesn't get him any further in his desire for more cash at Liverpool if that's what he wants. Or Real Madrid go, what on earth is that? Who is that?
But do Liverpool fans go, maybe it's not so bad if we lose him?
Well, Conor Bradley's right there, and he's unbelievable.
Is Trent just kind of one of them players that when he's good he's amazing, but when he's bad he's just horrific? And is that one of the reasons why England had been under Southgate kind of not willing to commit to him being their starting right back? That's like that he has this. It's very much within his capability to have a really off game. Normally he doesn't have them, but when he does, can you afford
I
it?
think that's any player, though, man.
Not really. Like there's like plenty of players that even when they're not playing well, they're still playing better than
Shout
other
out
ones.
Salah.
Yeah. Salah on an off day would be better than Nunes
Yeah.
on a good day. Like it, and it's that kind of thing. And is Trent just one of them kind of players that can have them really off days, and we just haven't seen it that often? And now that his head is a little bit turned, could we see it a little bit more for the rest of the season?
I wonder, like, the biggest tell for me that, well, not tell, the biggest one for me was like the only bit of the inkling of doubt I had of he's not trying was, did you guys see that look that Van Dijk gave him?
Oh my! But the thing is, if you watch the replay, this fella was like on Mars. Like literally, he was about 80 yards down the sideline. Like where was he? Like like he either wasn't running or slipped or something. Like
Like
it
that
was.
look wasn't even disappointed dad. That was like assassin. Like that was
Oh,
I will end you. Like
is he at risk of souring everything he's built at Liverpool?
if he keeps playing like that, yeah. But
Or
like
like if he leaves, because I think personally, if I look at it with like homegrown talent leaving the club, is like I'd be fuming. Like there's zero communication coming out about him. In
Because
terms of,
FSG just don't know.
but
You know?
like, give him the contract, yes or no, and let us know.
But
Like, you know,
it seems to be that they've given them all, or at least I know they've given Virgil a contract, they've given Salah a contract. The both of them evidently don't like it. But what I think's unfair for FSG is they can't say anything, because if they go, yeah, we gave him a shitty offer, they look shit, and then if they go, we gave him everything he wants, and he still says no, then they just look like they've no bargaining power. Then
Or does it save face for them because they're going, listen, we did our best. He wanted to move on. Oh well, we have Connor Bradley.
Yeah.
Because like that's not a bad way to be. Kind of going, listen, fans. You think we're not backing these players? We are.
So make Trent look like the bad guy.
how much
Absolutely.
money are Liverpool potentially leaving on the table? Like, we could be talking like 350 million, like possibly
It's
in
in between
terms
the
of
three players.
in between Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent. That's all up in the air right
I
now.
mean,
Like,
yeah, you're
you know
somewhere
what I
in
mean?
the
Like that.
you're probably in the 250 ish. Bear in mind age, because I think regardless of, even if I'd say if Salah takes a new deal, he'll probably leave after that on a free. You know.
Like, that's a lot of money. Like, in terms of like, and I don't mean to be rude when I say players as assets. Is like, that's a lot of money going out the door. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
That's
if well,
probably
you do have to look at it like that, and like that, I often have that argument with people when players, or people are like, why do players not get up after they've been tapped, because their career is on the line and they earn a hell of a lot of money, and if you get absolutely mullered, you could get replaced within 6 games. They are assets. It sounds awful, but they are.
yeah. Like, I just think now, like, Liverpool need to be a bit decisive in terms of like, you need to get an answer out of them,
Yeah.
like, sooner rather than later, because number one, you'll have to replace them. Number two, then if you wait till the summer, teams are going to see you coming a mile off.
See, I think they'll be smart. I don't know about you, Killian, but I don't. I think even if they, like, Connor Bradley's the Trent replacement, they don't really need to worry about that. They can get
Yeah.
someone who's somewhat decent to be the backfill on that. Salah is the problem. That's like, strikers are not cheap. Or okay, he's not exactly striker. We'll call him forward based off
Yeah.
fantasy football, but
Do we know Bradley's the answer though? Like,
no. But he's the best hope
he's
they
a
have.
good player. Like, he is. I've been really impressed with what I've seen. But there's a difference between going from Trent on a really good day to Connor Bradley. Do you know what I mean?
But in how Slot has been playing, that right back position is kind of less influential as it had been. So you don't quite need it to be as world class. Like, you can get away with having a very fine player.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But then you're also losing that world class
But you're not.
ability out of the squad. Do you know what I mean?
But they're
Yeah.
not using Trent in the way that they had been using Trent pre-slot. Like, Trent is not creating as much now. Like, he is not that kind of fulcrum for plays to be going through. He's a little bit more defensively playing since Slot came in, which isn't great considering he's.
I think the hierarchy of the real problems for them, if they leave, is Salah's number one, Virgil's number two, Trent's three, and I'm only putting Trent at three because they've got Bradley there.
Like, we did say that we reckoned that 2 out of the 3 would sign before.
Yeah, but I don't. I
still
don't
stand by
even think
that.
that. I don't even think that now. Like,
I think so. I think
I think
Trent is
Salah
gone.
and Trent go.
see. I think if Salah and Trent go, that Virgil's like, right, I'm dipping too.
Yeah, I think. But like, honestly, if I was the owner of Liverpool, I'd be like, "Who has let us get in this position? You've left us wide open." Like, I'm not even messing. Like, it's terrible management. Like,
Well,
you know,
it's director of football's leaving
you
after
stagger the
6 months.
deals. Like, you stagger the deals, so you deal with one this summer, another next summer. But like, you're losing like 15%,
But
20% of your squad there.
The owners,
possibly.
the owners have to blame themselves, though, because for how long of those 3 players' contracts has FSG apparently been about to sell the club? You know?
And
True.
can't keep a director of football. Like, that can't be understood. Director of football is meant to be the long-term thinkers. But there's another thing that we're not mentioning here. This is a team that's probably going to win the Premier League this year.
They're the best team in Europe, like they are.
Like, they will have a lot more cash than they did last year based on that alone. Like, I think there's less convincing that you have to do with the likes of a Virgil and the likes of a Salah than there is with Trent. Because I think you're kind of going, listen, lads, we're after
I
winning
don't.
the
I
Premier League.
actually. I don't think so. I think Salah's mind's already made up. I think he's not. I don't think he's brave enough to say it, but I think he's already out the door, in my opinion.
And
I think.
do you think he's going grabbing the bag in Saudi?
I personally think so. Yeah, I think what he's thinking is, if I win the league this year, I leave on the ultimate high. I can go make my money. Perfect idea. Like, I genuinely don't see him staying, and I think
If this was United and he did that, how would you feel?
I
He wins the Premier League, sails out to Saudi, and are you like, okay, fair enough, you've been a servant to the club, or are you like, F you, I'm not going to curse, but you know.
I'd be fuming at the club not matching, say, a good offer, like with a good offer. That, but if we know that he got a really good offer and then turned it down, I'd be annoyed.
But what kind of money is he looking for? Because if they're giving Trent 300 bags a week, what are they giving him?
I have no idea, but like, I think the big thing is, although Killian makes a good point about them getting good cash flow this summer, is I think they're in. Now, I could get eaten alive for this one. Is I think they're in a mini crisis in terms of, if they lose all three of them players, I genuinely think that they will struggle to match the quality.
Oh, yeah. In the immediacy, I'd agree with you. Like, you can't.
Even the panic of it in the team, you know.
But
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Is I think you'll see even other players go like, okay, so like saying, like, I know they've already bought a backup goalkeeper. We don't know how good he's going to be.
Mhm.
I think you even have Allison going, what's going on here, lads? Do you know what I mean? I think it then spreads to even the players going like they don't know how we're going to be. You know what I mean?
So Kevin Kelleher sat there on the bench going, I hope those three lads go, because then Allison might go and I might get a number one gig.
Like, there is another thing as well. Like, we're not seeing Saudi splash the cash in the same way. So while it's always there, they haven't been doing it.
I think this summer we are, though, because that World Cup has been secured.
Remember the churn though, lads. Like, how many players have gone out there for a year and gone, nope, you know?
Gordon Henderson's case, what, 4 months?
Alan Maximum was another one. Like, I mean, Jesus.
Neymar's on the move now.
Like, you know, there's a solid... I've seen, like, I saw a carousel on Instagram the other day, and there's a solid, like, 8 players who've lasted a year, you know?
But I think the big thing, though, is, like, that World Cup is secured now, so them buying players is literally advertisement. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what, 2034? Like, that's a long way away, man.
Like, and there's the other thing, didn't they put in higher tax rates for non-Saudi purchases? It's one of the reasons why PIF is starting to slightly pull back on their spending in European sports.
But like,
So,
is that literally not PIF that makes?
Yeah, I was going to say, why would they do that to themselves? Yeah,
because not
they're
all
just
not all the
taxing
clubs
themselves.
not all the clubs are owned by
Yeah, I
PIF
get
in the
that.
Saudi
Oh,
league now.
yeah.
And basically, what they don't want to happen is what happened in China. Buy a load of
Yeah.
superstars, they all leave, and then you have nothing to actually show for it at the end. But there was that, especially like if the UK does do this kind of government ran checks and balances thing over the league, like there is these kind of bigger stuff that will have in influence on how Saudi Arabia spends money, especially when it comes to the Premier League. But saying all that, we can only look at what's happening at the minute, and what's happening at the minute is Saudi isn't spending money right now. The Saudi league hasn't been for the past however many months. Really, like, what is it?
PIF in general, like, we're getting no money from the kingdom.
Yeah, but it's what, a year since their proper spending.
Yeah, like, I still think a Salah.
Time.
I still think a Salah opens those gates, though, because he, like, I think about him as a commercial property again, asset in that market. Like,
But I think they're at the stage though that they have to lose one to get another now, and maybe a Neymar leaving might open that up. But like, is this where they're now going to be dependent on Benzema retiring to try and get somebody else in?
yeah,
I think we're closer to that stage than most people are giving it credit.
I personally, I think what I would say that I've seen over the last couple of months, and I will go back to the World Cup, is I think they haven't wanted to annoy people in football before that's secured. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah, I
think
get
Yeah,
you.
maybe.
That's a shout.
I think they haven't wanted to go and
Ruffle feathers.
throw the
Yeah.
big cash around at Newcastle and stuff, and maybe ruffle some feathers. I think personally that's how I would see it. I could be totally wrong, but that's how I'd read it
That's a
personally.
good point. I didn't think of that.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of big players potentially moving for big money, Connor, you mentioned one Kevin De Bruyne is being linked with North America instead of the Middle East.
Yeah, and I mean, not that he hasn't been linked with the Middle East. Like we've said in previous pods, he's not only left breadcrumbs, he's left bread loaves of his interest to go over there. But no, the surprise one for me was, source being the Athletic on this one, that San Diego FC is potentially a landing zone for him, which was a surprise to me. Not that that was the MLS, but I don't know much about San Diego FC. I don't know about you guys. It's that one's kind of flown under the radar for me, but. What is interesting is when you look at De Bruyne's output over the last couple of seasons, and like, look, I know he's had his injury troubles in the last 12 months, but when you look going back as far as 2019, so 2019-2020 season, he played 81% of City's minutes. Next season, 58. Next season, 64. Then we're into the 2022 season. Comes back strong in that one with 70%. And then 2023, 35%, 2024, 45%. So, I mean, his minutes are dwindling. I think he's also getting fed up with, as we've said in previous pods, there seems to be a little bit of a rift with Pep, even before this downturn in their form. And I I think he's going to get big money either way. I think if he goes to the States, it's another not as big as a Messi deal, but I think it'll be somewhere in there. But I don't know about you guys. I was surprised that MLS didn't surprise me. San Diego did.
San Diego are joining this season,
Oh, they're
so
an
I'm not.
expansion team. Okay,
Yeah, so I'm not surprised that they're going for a big name.
that makes a lot more
And
sense.
but the way the MLS works, because I know we'd all be thinking Beckham rule and all that, and do they have money? They do have money. It's Mansour Group that owns them and a Native American tribe.
Oh,
So it's kind of an odd, but Mansour is that UK Egyptian dude that is like sells tons of cars. So like
oh, the
was it
Mansouris. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
Mansour?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's worth a couple of tens of billions
Yeah, so he does.
himself.
He'll be all right fronting that bill.
Yeah, but also because the way their league works, which is basically the clubs own the league and the league owns the clubs, they can actually apply to the MLS not only for designated contracts but also for financial help to kind of go, well, as a league, this will be better for us, and they can actually get financial assistance or offset costs later on by basically saying, we know we're only allowed to invest X amount per year, but you're going to allow us to go beyond that to allow this move to happen. So like your whole club could actually benefit for maybe 3 to 5 years of an extra 10 million of your personal cash injection.
Almost like a rebate in the film industry to get more tourism in the country.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So they can afford them, even in the world of Saudi. They can afford them, and they'd be offering a better life. Now the thing about San Diego is their two big signings so far have been Herving Lozano, your man from PSV, the Mexican winger,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
and Paddy McNair.
Oh wow! Now that I did not
So,
expect.
Nate, Paddy McNair and De Bruyne in centre midfield. What do you reckon?
Yeah, to be honest, when Connor said it earlier, I was,
I don't think you believed me when I said
yeah, like
it.
part of me was like, is San Diego FC in like the second tier of American football? Like, I just like, yeah, but as you said, they're joining the MLS. Yeah, it's just a bit of a weird one. Like I think his downfall needs to be studied somewhat. Like it's been that
So
sharp.
bad.
It's been
My
that
God.
sharp
when
over the
when it
time.
was good, boys, Christ, he was electric. He was the best midfielder in Europe at one point.
But
Who do you think had a worse fall off, Rooney or De Bruyne?
I maintain, and I've said this for a long time, that I think Wayne Rooney is arguably the best English player to ever play in the Premier League. And even with the downfall that he had, I think what that man did, it's not remembered how it should be. So
Name,
I'd say De Bruyne's fall off is definitely worse.
I know,
name.
I 100% agree. Like I think Rooney's was much more gradual. Where like I think we literally went from De Bruyne like whipping in these unbelievable passes to the next week, being like, "What happened here, fella?" And like, it's like I'm genuinely mind blown that this has come up, like, because I know he's struggled with injuries and stuff, but like,
It was
yeah,
only like a year ago that we were talking about De Bruyne being out with an injury in the same way that we're talking about Rodri now.
yeah,
Like it's been that rapid. Like it
like it's
is.
actually been like it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, no. Like I think your point about Rooney's more gradual fall off. Like Rooney had an amazing season, decent season, good season, not good season, bad, awful.
I think
But
the
even in that time, the numbers he put up from a goal scoring point of view were very good.
Oh, all relative,
You know,
relative sense of like him having a great season is somebody
yeah,
else having like the best that they could ever
yeah,
wish
and,
for.
and like even when he was on his drop off, he was still getting 10, 11 goals a year. You know,
I think the big thing as well with Rooney is like he sort of went from like his cutback was more games wise, so like he'd play a few less games and then a few less games, and then I think there was a year and a half where you vividly remember him being on the bench and you go, Jesus, what happened there? Where it was a gradual thing.
Plus, it has to be mentioned as well that like De Bruyne is having this level of fall off in a much stronger team.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, by far.
Rooney's fall off was coinciding with
United's
Moyes.
fall off.
finishing
Yeah.
you finishing in the ninth or eighth
Van
or whatever.
Gaal, Moyes, like
Yeah, like, and in fairness, the way City's going, they could still be closer to that
please God.
than winning. But we have to mention Forest, lads.
It's
We are
it's beautiful. It's just so great to see.
Why was Brian Clough reincarnated as a Portuguese former goalkeeper? Like, Forest shouldn't be in the top four comfortably. They're 4 points ahead of
no,
Chelsea
what's
in fourth.
happening? Like,
It's Forest League to lose, lads. You know. I know. Like jokes aside, I don't see it being a Leicester thing, but it is amazing. There's not a single pundit in the country, or even fan in a pub, even or Leicester Forest fans. No one would have called that.
do you know
Like,
what?
Forest are level on points with Arsenal.
which is
And are,
wild.
Do you know
Um,
what's funny? Is like Chris Wood, yeah, is like I genuinely believe if you put him in another team, it's not working. Like,
Oh,
oh
100%.
no. He is having his Michu moment.
oh, it's
Just
mental.
don't change anything. It's not going to work next year. Just enjoy it.
Even Alan Shearer said it because like they would have like he would have seen him at Newcastle and he was like I don't even mean to be insulting, but he was like didn't know that was in him. Like
Neither did he. I guarantee if you said that to Chris Wood, he'd be like, "I don't know what's happening. It's just
Can-
working."
Can I also provide the other side of this now? Is that how I've personally been feeling about the Premier League this season? Is I think the quality is god awful.
oh,
Like
that's a big
I
take.
I don't know what has happened. Like I'm being honest. I've been watching a few Serie A games, a few La Liga games. I'm genuinely enjoying watching that football more. Is like the product that I'm getting from the Premier League right now is just so polar opposite to what it was a few years ago.
I do think that for me the thing I've noticed I don't know if I totally agree with what you're saying, but what I will agree on is there is far less kind of crosses into the box, shots from outside of the box. It's becoming a very different game or league, should I say?
Yeah.
While the likes of Serie A, Bundesliga, La Liga, they're more expansive in the types of goals that are coming.
So what you're saying is Big Sam was right, and the Premier League's becoming too monochromatic.
They're
all trying to play the same
wouldn't be
way.
like it wouldn't be like me to love a Big Sam statement.
I'm genuinely being honest. I'm not happy with where the Premier League currently is. I think the teams are playing worse. Like in terms of results, results are just all over the place. Like, come on, Newcastle on a 7-win streak. Jesus, that's ridiculous.
Good.
Well, no, seriously, like, yeah, I've been much enjoying watching other leagues. Like, I know that's just me being honest.
But in speaking of other leagues, there is another team in our midst that are undefeated in 2025, and I hate to say it, it is the filthy Mackhams of Sunderland. Killian, take it away,
Mhm.
my friend. How are you feeling into the 2025?
I am happy out. Like we are still in the running for the league. We're only 3 points behind Leeds, who are first. I still think that we're gunning for that second spot, automatic promotion, and if not playoffs, I would have taken your hand for a playoff at the start of the year. So I'm happy out. We're undefeated at home this season. The only team that is our level or above that is still has that record is Arsenal.
I don't know. I
Um,
don't know about you, Nate. There's some washy grey stats you pull out when you're on the ropes.
Well, United are unbeaten in 2025 as well, so that says everything. But
no, this season unbeaten at home.
Yeah, no,
oh,
that is
yes, like,
impressive.
And don't forget the championship starts well before the Premier League.
And you play
Uh,
twice as much. Yeah.
yeah, like we're on a what is it, 46 game season now. So my only worry is, and I can't begrudge any of it, is that we're gonna get pilfered in January. I don't think we're gonna. I think there'll be a lot of transfers organized this month. Arsenal, Palace, United, all sniffing around Joe Bellingham, who people are now realizing
He's
is
on, but
absolute
didn't he
class.
sign a new contract? So his buyout would be huge.
I don't think we necessarily have buyouts, but it's like he's a very, very, very good relationship with our director of football.
That's only going to
Um,
last so long, though. And if that director of football goes somewhere, he's gone too. If it's really that
no,
tight.
basically the club has been handed over to him. Like he's running the club.
Okay.
Like Joe and Jude Bellingham spent Christmas in Sunderland. On Christmas Eve, Jude Bellingham was walking the pier in Sunderland. Genuinely. That's how good of a relationship he has with the Bellingham family. And he, I'm sure, has an agreement with them kind of going, listen, we're going to keep him here. We're going to develop him for as long as we think it's going to benefit him. And as soon as a club that's going to benefit him more comes in, we'll let
I
you
think
go
they'll be
for a
smart, though,
reasonable
and
fee.
it won't be an English team. They'll do what they did with Jude. They'll be sensible and go somewhere where he gets minutes without mass exposure, but still gets exposure.
I think he can do with a little of exposure because I think it's worth him breaking the Bellingham name. Like he's Job. He's not Bellingham. Like
Yeah.
leave Bellingham over in Madrid, and now let's remember Job. But I do think, yes, he's not going to go to Man United. Put it that way. Like there's no benefit if he's going to be in England. It'll be the likes of a Brighton or some team that's going to actually guarantee to play him.
What age is he again?
Is he 19?
Jesus, that's terrifying.
sorry, lads, I just can't wrap my head around the parents having to be in Madrid one week and then Sunderland next week.
One
No, they
lives,
split.
yeah,
Yeah.
One lives in Madrid and one.
You imagine there's like crossover there. It's like, fuck.
who's
Okay.
pulling them straws?
Who's the poor fella? Who's the poor one that has to live in Sunderland?
Yeah,
Jesus.
like
a lot of the time it's the dad.
yeah. Do you know what's terrifying? He's 20 in September. He was born in 2005.
Don't get me started on this stuff.
It's not disgusting. No, but like we have our forwards are starting to click. We have another 19-year-old Mienda who himself and a guy we have in on loan with an option to buy. They're starting to click now. It's fun again. We had a blip, Nate. We had a blip, and that's fine. Teams can have blips, and before Christmas, but
United
it's
has
all
just been
kicking
10
on.
years long.
Yeah, United are having a 10-year blip.
No, it'll be great, and I'm going over to see them in February, which I'm going to very much enjoy. It'll be against Watford, so a good
Oh, that'd
kind
be a
of
great game.
yeah. So yeah, it's an exciting season. I'm still on the fence about whether I want them in the Premier League next year because I don't know how good we're going to be in the Premier League
Well,
next year.
I mean,
Podcast material, come on.
yeah. The only thing I don't want them in the league is in case you bloody beat us. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see how this season goes in terms of the relegation fodder, because if it's a second year in the bounce of the three that went up, went down, it's not exactly great for the championship teams.
No, but on that, before we go, do we think that this Southampton team is going to rival the infamous Derby?
I knew that's where you were going as soon as you
And
said it.
will they have the worst points total in Premier League history?
12's the worst, isn't it?
I think so.
And they've got
12 or
like,
11.
and they've got something like what, 8?
They're on 6.
Oh, that could be tight. No, I don't. No,
Yeah,
they'll get more. They'll get more.
I think they will end on 18 points.
I was going to say 16.
Ooh. I'm not so sure, lads, because so the Derby record is 11 points, and I think Derby either had the same or more points so after 19 games, Derby had 7 points, and Southampton after 19 games had 6. They're now on 20 games and they're still on 6.
I would argue, though, on Nate's point previously of the league dropping off a cliff, that Derby had a harder chance of getting more points than Southampton. I think Southampton could get a couple of wins, towards the back end of the season when teams are tired.
Jesus, they nearly have double the losses United have. I would have lost my head.
See, the thing with Southampton is now they have a new manager coming in, and he's a Premier League unknown. So we've seen this before. It could either go absolutely class,
or the arse falls out of it.
Yeah, this is one of the 4 Roma managers this year.
Where's Martin O'Neill and stuff? You know what I mean? Get them back in. Get them
Actually, on Martin O'Neill, boys, I'd not to promote other podcasts, but if you get I don't know if you've listened to it yet, but listen to the Martin O'Neill pod on Stick to Football. He has some fascinating insights of yesteryear and just even good Ireland chat between him and Keno. It's definitely for all of our listeners. It's worth a listen, but don't listen too frequently. Just keep coming back to Not a Pundit.
He also said he's a big fan of the Not a Pundit podcast.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
and Sunderland. Grew up a Sunderland fan.
No, enough for
that. Gentlemen, that's been our first episode. Delighted to be back. Are you?
Absolutely, and I'm even more delighted about the fact that Newcastle are 2-0 up against Arsenal. The game's about to end, so it couldn't get better, boys. We are so back.
Nate, if Newcastle start doing well, just kick them out and just break away podcast or something.
This has got to end. It has to end at some point, doesn't it?
Well, we'll leave it there with United 12 points behind Newcastle in the Premier League. Sunderland on the up in the Championship, and lots of transfers to happen in the January window. It's going to be a fun 2025. Chat to you later.
Bye-bye.
Messi. Oh, my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. That is extraordinary. What a headshot. What a head.
Back of the net.